Everyone, how are you doing this Monday night, this money-making Monday, as I like to call it? I'm here to talk to you guys about what I have experienced, several people, family members and others have been experiencing lately, and that is a lot of developers have been contacting us saying that they either want to buy our property or buy the land or build on top by the air rights. Well, I know I've heard through the grapevine that one person actually went ahead with the deal. Hi, Yamashita Wilson, how are you? They went ahead with the deal and they did not like how the deal is actually ending up. So I want to advise everybody out there, if you haven't been approached by a developer, eventually you will be approached by a developer, because it's not just happening. Hi, Belinda. It's not just happening in my neck of the woods. It's also happening in other states all over where you will be approached, and the person who talks to you on the phone, they will sound really nice, really entice you to either sell your property or sell your land, or they want to partner with you so that they can build on top of your property or around your property. Know this, the person on the phone that's talking to you, that's a salesperson or a saleswoman, and a lot of times they don't really know enough about the business, and they'll make a lot of promises and offers to you that at the end of the day, after you sign that contract, you'll find out that that's not true. So be very careful when you're signing contracts. Don't just go by the words, the sweet enticing words that you hear on the phone. Definitely go over, read the contract for yourself. Have other family members or other neighbors, like in my case, several neighbors have been approached. So we have a homeowners association. We all can read it together, even though that hasn't happened with one particular homeowner, unfortunately. The other thing to make note of, and this is something else that I see happening in some neighborhoods, because I live in what was once known as the hood but has been gentrified, is that some people feel that if they destroy the property, that will deter developers from coming for their property. Not true at all. What one particular developer did is they went to the government and filed for eminent domain against that property. That person also, let me not say person, it's actually an LLC. One of the people in that LLC is on the Federal Reserve Board. So they got that eminent domain to go through. They were able to take that property at a much lower price than what it was actually worth from the beginning. And then they were able to they're going to turn that property around. They're also kicking out a lot of residents in that property. Now, normally with eminent domain, you have to pay people in order to move. And I know that the businesses in the area are being paid. Now, this one particular building in that particular neighborhood is under what they call the Mitchell-Lama program, which is a affordable housing co-op. So the tenants actually own a part of the building, but the building was sold to this developer, and now that this developer's eminent domain went through, and I'm afraid that the people, I'm not sure if they're going to get any money, to be quite honest with you, because they're not really considered the landlord, or they're not considered the landlords of the building. So please, please, before you make a deal with these people, read over those contracts. Also, not only read the contracts, but see what the reputation is of that developer. Because there are some developers that are really good people. I know I've met two so far, not a lot, and they're decent. But there are some that are not so decent, unfortunately. and you want to check the reputation, ask them, who else have you, can you give me a list of references or referrals? Do you have their phone numbers? Can I call them? Can I talk to them on the phone? Better yet, go to that person's neighborhood or see if you can visit them one-on-one, maybe meet in a coffee shop and talk to that person, and then let them see if they can, tour the area of where they live. They might not, being that you're just calling them on the phone, they might not necessarily be readily available for you to just, come into their house because you're kind of a stranger to them. So maybe like make an appointment, meet them in a coffee shop, get to know them, talk to them, whatever. Do all of this before you sign the deal, because once you sign that deal, whatever it is, sometimes it may be too late after you sign that contract. Okay, I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. Like, for example, let's say you don't want to sell your house, but you agreed to sell either the air rights or your land. Let's say in the back of your house you have a deck or a pool. They might rip up that pool because of what's in the contract. And you might say, wait a minute, I want my pool, I want my deck. And they're like, no, too late, you signed the contract. We have rights to this, and you don't. And the courts might not necessarily be on your side if you take them to court and say, well, this is not what I agreed to. And another thing, yes, I'm going to say this again, it's good to get a lawyer. Now, you may not have $9,000 or $4,000 to, however it costs in your neck of the woods to pay for a lawyer to go over those contracts with you, but there are legal insurance plans that you can get. I personally pay $13.95 a month for mine. I know that the price has gone up for anybody new who wants to invest afterwards, who wants to get into the plan afterwards. But I think in the long run, even if you don't go with the legal insurance plan and you go with a lawyer, I believe you will save yourself a lot of headache and a lot of money in the long run if you check everything on the contract, or have your lawyer check everything on the contract, or your family as a group go over it. I think you will also save your time if you ask for references. And then if you have access to a skip tracing tool, there's several tools. There's pacer.gov, which is $8 per page, where you can find out information on anybody and any company. You also have Instant Checkmate, which is pretty good. It's like $20 a month, and they only charge you for the months that you actually use their service. So it's not like your cable bill where you're paying, I don't know, $180 every month, whether you use it or not. So those two sites are good, and no, I'm not getting paid to reference those sites to you. And what you want to look at when you're doing research on the person or on the company is whether or not they file for bankruptcy at any time. That should be a red flag. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad person or that it's a bad business, but it's something you want to check into. Also, of course, the Better Business Bureau and Consumer Affairs, you can check businesses up on there too. The other thing you want to check if there are any lawsuits that have ever been filed against the business or against any of the persons in the business. What else? Besides bankruptcies and lawsuits, let's see. And any illegal activity, embezzlement, that's it. You want to make sure that no one in the company, particularly those on top, the heads, have nobody's ever pressed charges for embezzlement against them. If so, that's a big red flag, and you might not want to do business as far as partnering up with that particular developer. And you want to make sure all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted. What's good about speaking to a lawyer or speaking to someone who's already been through this is that sometimes the deal sounds good on paper, even after you read the contract and everything. But then later something may come up, and you may say, you know what? I really wanted something else done, or I really didn't want the architectural elements of my property to be removed. I just want them to add on top and not do anything else. And you don't realize that in the beginning. It's not sometimes until the end that you realize that. And I think what happened with, I think that's what happened with the guy in my neighborhood, because what we have is like a duplex, and they took away that second floor and they from him, which was part of his apartment, and they made it into a new apartment. And I don't think that's what he wanted, and I think that's why he's he's very upset about that. So again, whatever kind of partnership you have going on with a developer, just make sure, that you go over the contract, have other eyes go over the contract, check their references, not just call them on the phone, but if you can actually visit the properties that they have done already, and then do a background check. And be very clear what kind of partnership it is, because there are different types of partnerships out there. And when they approached me and I said, no, I don't want to sell, they were like, well, what if we buy this? What if we buy the land? What if we buy the air rights? And then we can split it up. They were like 60-40, and we'll put you in a hotel room. You and everybody else in the building will be placed in a hotel room, and we'll cover the cost of that. And, they never really said, okay, well, what are you going to do with the area that I actually live in? How is that going to be cut up? You want to make sure that's specified, that you're clear on how, if you go through with that, you want to make sure you're clear on if they're going to cut up the space that you actually live in, and what their arrangements are. And also, I have like a sunroof on the top. So, I wanted to know, like, how are they planning to expand? All of those things are important. And also the contractors they use, their experience and everything else like that. All of those things are important. So that's basically all I have to say for right now. And just be careful, be watchful, because I noticed that a lot of neighborhoods, not just in New York City, but in Florida, this happened to my uncle. In Georgia, this happened to what I have down there, and several other people. It's happened to. And then sometimes, like I said, when they really want your property, they'll go to the government and they'll get that eminent domain. Oh, and lastly, the other thing that I think is very important is that we, as a people, hi Daryl, as I'm speaking to Black people right now, we need not only to vote, but we need to also get more politically involved, because one of the reasons why I believe that particular developer was able to get eminent domain in a particular neighborhood is because he also serves on the Federal Reserve Board. And I think that we need more political clout. Community boards do. And also, I think in certain areas, they don't have community boards, but they have like town hall meetings or town hall groups or something like that. And these people do decide and do what developers can and can't do in a particular neighborhood. So I think it's very important that we not just vote, but we actually get on these community boards and do more networking with people in politics in our local areas that affect our housing needs. Hi, Joe. Bye for now. See you guys again next time. I'm not sure when. I'm still playing around with Facebook Live as far as when is a good time to make videos. You guys, if you can help me out, and if you can let me know below in the comments what time is most convenient for you as far as me posting videos, particularly the serious videos that I often make. All right. Good night.